before we jump off of this show, of this game, the Trojans. It's a
Mhm.
brand college football has been waiting to come back to the table. They got a rock star coach. They got a megawatt leader on their team who happens to be the quarterback, and they are winning. And we keep saying it here. They're a year ahead of schedule. They just took the name tags off in the building a month ago. And
Mhm.
here they are. Matt Hayes, quickly, can USC force their way in this year into the playoff? Is it likely, in your opinion? I know they
I,
can. Is it likely?
I think if they win out, they're in, and I don't think it matters what anyone else does. Even if
Wow.
LSU beats Georgia, I think they're still in because if LSU beats Georgia, so then you have two SEC teams in. Then you get the Big Ten winner, and well, then that means TCU. Wait, so they may not. They may not actually because if TCU wins out, so USC may not control their own destiny. Actually,
So if TCU wins out, that's going to be the argument.
they're
No
in. Yeah,
Big
yeah.
Ten.
You're not going to put. I mean, look, I don't agree with this logic, but I'm telling you that's what they're going to think. You're not going to put a one-loss USC and over an unbeaten TCU. They're not going to do that. They just will not do that.
I thought you just said they do.
I
The
know,
pageant.
and after I reassessed, George, after I reassessed, I forgot about TCU. I don't think USC controls its destiny because
Okay, so let me
LSU
ask you.
something funky could happen with LSU, so you never know.
So let me ask you, and then let me ask Felder. TCU wins out. USC wins out. Trojans carry a one loss. Who is more dance worthy, Trojans or Horned Frogs? In your opinion, not what the committee would say. Who would you put in?
I mean, TCU's beaten 5 ranked teams, man. And I know people say, well, they're not ranked now, but they were ranked at the time they played, which means they were playing well, and it was a big game. It was
So
a
you're
big
going.
moment. So for
you're
me, I mean,
going
I got to go with the team that has beaten the most ranked teams.
Felder.
I go with TCU, but for a different reason. I think TCU can do a lot of the same stuff that USC can do. I don't think Max Duggan is as good as Caleb Williams, but I do think that he has a complement with Savion Williams and Tay Barber, and then obviously Quentin Johnston. I do think he has a complement of players that allow him to create. And by the way, we don't talk about Kendre Miller nearly enough.
Right.
A guy who is he scored a touchdown in every game this season.
A really good player, right? Right.
This guy's had, I think, 6 straight 100-yard games. So I think that he has, and they don't have Troy Dye. Is it Troy? Troy? Dye?
No.
Travis Dunn.
Travis.
USC, yeah. Travis Dunn.
They don't have Dye at USC. Like, he's out. So that's a big piece you're missing. So I think TCU is still, I go with them for that reason. Not about who they play, not about this. I just think that they are in a position where they're ready to compete with anybody. And if you want to play grimy, they showed us a week ago they could play grimy football. And if you want to play flashy and you want to score, they can do that too. So
see, I think
go ahead.
I respect both takes. Obviously, neither one of you are wrong.
You're a USC guy. I understand.
No. I'm Switzerland, but I look at it from a lens. Like USC has had a couple one possession wins this year, and I just got Yogi for this last week. They only beat Cal by 8. They only beat Arizona by 7. Both those two got laid out right away by another average team. But then I watched TCU a walk-off against Baylor kick. They have been in some tumbles. Yeah, they have 5 ranked wins, but when you actually put the names of the teams that they beat that were ranked, you're like, oh, those are the ranked teams? Like Kansas, the state of Kansas was 2 of those 5 teams.
Yeah, but that was a big game, bro. They were unbeaten.
No
game day
doubt,
was there. It was
Matt,
crazy
no
there.
doubt.
So but this goes back to the original, to Matt's point. Even when you look at TCU's thing, you're looking at name brands.
In terms of
you just said the names.
You just said, well, it was just Kansas, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
you're looking at these names, not the team.
So if I boiled it down, I look at if SC and TCU met at a neutral site. I don't know what Vegas would say. Probably our producer Trevor would have the early thing on that.
I think
But
it would look like.
biggest-
I
I
think it
think
would
the
look like.
teams are probably pretty equal.
Yeah,
But the
it'd be,
difference
I might even be a
maker,
pick.
the difference maker is Williams.
And I
So-
think it might look like Utah against Alabama in 2008.
Yeah.
where Utah got him. But the Trojans have a gauntlet too now. They're going to have to see Utah and they're going to have
Yes.
to see Oregon. And if they come through those two teams,
Well, they got to beat Notre Dame next week. That's a
and they
big
got to
game.
get through Notre Dame, they have a gauntlet. If they, I think their gauntlet, their back end gauntlet, now that they've pushed up behind TCU, they have jumping ability with that back end.
We still don't know who has to play in that Pac-12 championship game. Is that correct?
Right. It's USC or I mean, it's Utah or Oregon.
They're playing right now.
Right.
Yeah, correct. So anyway, the Trojans, the Bruins, they settled their differences tonight, 48-45. USC, strong performance again, really by both quarterbacks and both teams. Game got a little bit away from DTR, still threw for 309 tonight, but Caleb Williams, 470 yards off of 11 yards in attempt. Matt Hayes, 11 yards in attempt. But it was the Bruins 4 turnovers that dogged them tonight, and they were still within a field goal. Given the conversation going back and forth between the Trojans and TCU, fellas,